Hey people, what is up? I'm going to share a couple of quick games today. I'm going to do one in this video, and this is just one of those great examples of when never to give up. So this video is sponsored by the one and only Rick Astley. I mean, what a ding dong. So I'll tell you, this is day 7 of me off the coffee. And I had a slump, I think, in days 1 to 6. And then it feels like I've got my mojo back, baby. Yeah, little bit. So, even after a couple of beers last night, played a couple of games against, I beat a 1900 bot for the first time. And then the other 1900 bot, I was literally up 2 pawns, and I moved my king onto the same file as my rook and got my king skewered, and that was it, resign, right? And this is something that bots do to you all the time, which is really annoying, that they just find these incredibly accurate moves. I mean, not that it was, it was a blunder, right? But there's something that we can learn from that, which is, and you've probably come across human players as well, who just, you're like up loads of material, and then they just come round and jam you up the backside with something unpleasant, right? This is one of those games, right? So we have the bishop's opening, against which the Freddy Krueger repertoire says you play the Calabrese Countergambit, okay? And I tend to do pretty well with this. An opponent now plays the odd-looking Queen f3. So now has 2 attackers on this pawn. If I, for example, push d6, yeah, I'm blocking my bishop, blah, blah, blah. So I just play knight f6 as normal, expecting pawn to take. Queen takes. And now I do figure that I have d5 with a double attack, right? But that's only the first level of thinking, right? If I was to push d5 here, what can my opponent do? Yeah? Well, so d5 hitting the bishop. There's a reason why I can't play it now. I'm buggered if I can remember what it is. Why isn't d5 the right move here? So it's quite early in the... I've already played this game today. I can't bloody remember. But anyway, I don't play d5. I bring my knight out first. I thought there was some... I was thinking about d6. Was I thinking about d6? Then I knew he could bring his bishop in. But d5 might have been... Well, d5, I guess pawn just takes. Yeah. Anyway, so I develop my other knight. He now pushes c2, probably preparing... c2 to c3, preparing d4. I push... Now, so here is d6, okay? With, obviously, the discovered attack on the queen. Queen moves back to f3. I bring out my bishop, hitting the queen again. So I'm developing the tempo. Always nice. And I'm feeling kind of okay here. I push h5. Right, just kind of saying if you've got ideas about castling short, you may want to think twice. It's a bit of a non-move. He kicks, I retreat to d7. Queen comes back again to f3. Now I push up on the king side with g5. Obviously, I'm planning to castle long here. And now comes d4. Takes... And bishop takes with a pin on the knight and 2 attackers on the knight. This isn't nice. Bishop g7 as a second defender. Develops knight. And now I stick my knight into the middle of the board. And this is a great move. In fact, this is very telling. Okay? This is one to remember. If this is on, okay, the bishop is undefended. You should always be aware of what's undefended, right? So this is... If knight e5 is on, I'm hitting the queen and I'm hitting the bishop. Now, if I was to play knight e5 in this position, right, the queen can drop back and defend the bishop. White has resolved both problems in one. The problem with this is the only square the queen could have gone to defend the bishop is now occupied by one of white's own pieces. So now when I play knight e5, and note the queen can't come here to defend the bishop because that square is also attacked by the knight. Okay. So he has to desperado sack the bishop. I capture backwards with the knight. I don't want to move my king. He grabs a pawn as compensation. My knight jumps back and attacks the queen again. Queen moves across. I hit the queen again. Queen comes back. I play queen e7. So basically just preparing to castle. It's the only square my queen could go to. And blunder my knight. Oh dear. So, that was just silly, right? So I get a pawn on e4 with compensation. Slight compensation with check, by the way. And I'm also hitting this pawn here. So there's a couple. I mean, king f1 is playable. Bishop retreating is okay, but it does drop this pawn. That's not the move I play. I now put pressure on the pinned piece. And white counters with knight d2, hitting the queen. So I now grab the pawn on g2. Got to be a bit careful. I grab this knight here. Why do I do that? Well, I'm worried about one of the rooks coming to g1, skewering the queen, and note, undefended bishop in the background, right? So I trade off the bishop. Material's actually equal at this point, and I castle. Okay, so now generally what I do here is I'll do a recap of pawns. So I've got a 4 and a 1. He's got a 3 and 2 solos. So we're not doing too bad. We've got a knight each and a bishop each, and the bishops are opposite coloured. He does have a potential passed pawn, but it's all the way back on f2. And I've blundered my rook. Okay, so after this move, actually, we have an issue. I think I had to calculate this, and I had to give up the rook. In this situation, my knight's under attack, but it's defended by the queen. My rook is under attack, but white can play one of the rooks to g2, and my queen can't go to here or here to continue to defend the knight, because those squares are guarded by their knight. So, in fact, the right move would be rook here. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I could grab the pawn, but still, if my queen vacates this diagonal, and then the knight will fall, right? So I castle and give up the rook. Okay, here I don't recapture the bishop immediately, right? I'm down a full rook at this point. I counterattack the queen, and the queen moves now and defends the bloody bishop, doesn't it? Okay, so I play my bishop here, maybe lining up a discovery on this rook. Rook moves, I win the pawn. They attack my rook. I stick it on a light square, and I'm down 4 materials at this point. So now it's desperate time, right? Desperate times call for desperate measures, but there is something to be said for clinging on with your bloody fingernails, okay? f4 comes now. This is the potential passer. My knight comes out, defended by the bishop, kind of attacking the pawn, but it is defended twice by bishop and queen. They propose a trade of rooks. I accept. Okay. Now it's time to get my king safe, so I want to stick my king on b7. There he goes. And I drop a pawn. Oh no, I'm down a full rook. Okay. But that was actually a mistake by white, because, look at this. I can capture the pawn. The queen is on an undefended square, right? So I can capture the pawn, and the bishop can't take, because bishop takes, I win the queen and the game. I'm also, by the way, threatening knight d3 with a fork and king and rook, which would be something. Okay, they come across and try and attack my queen, but it's okay because I have the check. Okay, now if the king moves to either of these squares, I can move my knight with a discovered check, but that's probably not the cleverest idea, because you always have to check, can my opponent capture the checking piece? So king moves there, I move here with check. King moves back, I check again. King goes there, and I'm thinking, right, he's on 2 minutes, right? This is a 10-minute rapid. Okay, my opponent's 15:60, I'm 15:20. He's down to 2 minutes, I'm 2 minutes 21. I throw in another check with my bishop. I'm using every resource that I have, and I'm down a full rook, pretty much. Okay, king moves to here now. And then I blunder again. Uh-oh. Put my knight here thinking, Right, he's in check. He can't go here, he can't go here, he can't go here. Can you delete the checking piece? Oh, you wally. You absolute muppet. So, he's on 1 minute 51. I check. I check again. I check again. I check again. Right, now, the king has to move to this square. Right? Again. Look at this queen, right? White has everything. He's got it all. He's born with a silver spoon at this point, right? King goes to here. And what is the next move? Answers on a postcard, please. Pause. Figure it out. Okay. So the king is on the only square where he can defend the queen. Now, my queen's actually hanging at this point in time, but the move. Raymond. Bishop to d7, check. Okay, it's the only square. Hits the king. King cannot go to any of these squares. Obviously, he can't go where his own pieces are. Can't go here because of my queen. Can't go here because of my queen. Can't go here because of the bishop. The next move is forced because he can't interpose a piece either. Bang. Bang. And suddenly I'm +3. What's more, I'm forking the bugger. What he should do now is move here. He doesn't, because he's lost his mind, which is understandable. I get the bishop. I'm now +6, and he resigns. Thank you very much. Right? Fight tooth and claw when you're down in material, because you never know what may happen. All good fun. Thanks for watching. See you later.